Hi, I'm David with Technology Services of Knoxville LLC. I'm here today to bring you a few quick tips on customizing the Windows 10 Start menu. I hope you find some of these tips useful. So let's just get right into it. So the Start menu for Windows 10, there's actually surprisingly quite a few more options and settings you can tweak than I actually would have guessed initially for sure. There's some settings that I came across a little bit sooner, some later. I think some of these settings were released with later versions of Windows 10 with the different feature updates. But some of them I've actually found quite useful, so I just wanted to share some of the ones that I've come across, and hopefully you can use some of them. So you're seeing my desktop now. I have to mention these guys first of all before doing anything else. So icon there, you can see I've got OBS Studio running. I'm going to add a link to those to the website for OBS Studio software. It's what I use for doing any type of recording or live streaming or anything like that. It's awesome software if you do any type of production, that's not really graphic intensive, all that stuff, actual, video rendering and graphic design type things. OBS Studio is really good, basic, free open source software. So just want to give those guys a shout. So the Start menu, first thing I wanted to mention, one of the more basic things, but it's actually pretty useful. You can actually resize the Start menu. So if you have quite a few things like I do that you like to pin to the Start menu, you can resize this and make it larger, smaller. You can't go to exact height and width that you like. It's kind of snaps into a few different positions, but you can resize it, and I actually found that quite useful. One of the other things you can resize is all of these tiles. When you have a fresh install of Windows 10, it looks obviously a lot different than this. I've gone through and customized it, to the way I like it to look. But there's, some people might like larger tiles, some people might like smaller tiles. This is just the way I like it, just one uniform size, and but you can resize them. So I'm going to use the weather tile, for example. And it'll actually lead me right into the next tip. So the weather tile, if I want to resize this, you can actually just right click on the tile, go to the resize option, and you can go small, medium, wide, large. A few preset options that you have, so you can't get down to the exact pixel width and height that you like, but you can resize them to these preset options, which is handy. So for example, I'm going to pick this one and go with the large size. So if you have something, for whatever reason, you want it to stand out, you can make it larger. Now this one I picked as an example because it actually has another feature. It might actually, with a clean install, it might actually already be turned on as far as this feature, but this is an example of a live tile. Not all these tiles, for example, PowerShell, it doesn't have live tile capability, as you can see if I right click on it. But weather is an example of a live tile. If you right click on it, if it's turned off, you can turn it on, or vice versa. If it's turned on and you don't like it to be on, you can turn it off. But if you turn this one on, for example, I'm going to select Turn Live Tile On. It's actually going to show me the local weather based on my location settings. I believe you can customize this to show a different location if you like, but this one shows my current location in Knoxville, Tennessee, and shows some of the weather info. It's pretty handy, actually. I just, for whatever reason, I prefer all my tiles to be a specific size, and I just don't use the live tile. So I'm going to turn this back off, and I'm going to reset it to my standard size of medium. But you can certainly do whatever you want with that. You can go with bigger, larger, smaller tiles. Just customize the heck out of it and set it up however you like it. So the next thing I wanted to mention is these groups. So you can organize your tiles that you've pinned to the Start menu into groups, and I prefer to do it by just type of applications, I guess, or how I use them. Office is a no-brainer. It just makes sense. Throw all your Office applications together in one group. I don't have every single Office application in here, primarily just the ones that I use a little bit more frequently. I tried to limit myself as far as what I pin to the Start menu, just because if I get kind of out of control with it and pin just about everything to the start menu. Well, it's not really much different than this menu here, I guess, except maybe it's larger buttons. I guess that's still an advantage with the tiles, but I just like to keep it at least relatively clean and stick to at least the stuff that I use a little bit more frequently for quick access. So for example, say I wanted to put the camera app back in here. I wanted to pin to the start menu because I was using a tablet and I actually used the camera app on here. I would just right click and pin to start. By default it throws it into this, I believe it typically throws it into this unnamed category or group down here. I can move it into an already named group if I like. If you got, for some reason it's being a little finicky there, but or I can just, say I've got a slew of new applications I want to pin in here, just throw them in here, and then if you want to give this new set of applications a name, just hover over where the name would be and just left click and you can type in a name. So for this example, I'm just going to name it Miscellaneous Apps, hit enter, and now it's got a name. So just another neat thing, you can make these larger, smaller, group them however you like. I find it pretty handy though. So those are the main things with the start menu right offhand that you can customize just by opening the start menu and just kind of messing around with the options there. So there's actually more though. If I go into the settings for my Windows 10 machine, I can go into the this personalization and then go to the start menu options. So there's actually more settings here, and there's even more, really custom tweaks here and there in other places that you could probably find. But this is where you're going to find the majority of the rest of the settings. So I'm just not going to go through all of them, but the main ones are, so say for whatever reason I just wanted to put everything on the start menu as tiles, and so I actually don't want this list anymore. I can actually hide that if I turn this off. So now I have the start menu and I don't see that anymore. I now show just my tiles. So that's an option if that's the view you prefer. I currently have Show Recently Added Apps turned on because that's pretty handy for me. If I've installed a new program and it's showing up in the apps list, but it's not automatically pinned to the start menu by default. But say I want to, just quickly find it instead of having to scroll through this big long list. I do keep my recently installed apps. I keep this setting turned on, and that will actually show up above this 3D viewer here, because it's just the way it's alphabetized as far as the way that the applications are listed. But it'll actually show up above there if I installed a new application, so I could easily find it instead of scrolling through this list, and I can right click on it from that list up at the top and then into the start menu if I like. Or if I just trying to get to it real fast so I can launch the application, it'll automatically show up there instead of searching through your list. So that's pretty handy, I think. Another thing is showing most used apps. It actually throws it up at the top of that list if you like. So you can just launch your most used apps from there. So what that looks like is if I go back to the start menu, now I've got most used apps showing up before my alphabetized list of all applications. So evidently these are the ones I open up most frequently. So that's another probably handy thing, but since I've already got the ones I use most frequently either pinned to the start menu or pinned to my taskbar, or I have a shortcut on my desktop, I've decided to just leave that turned off. So using start full screen, so that's going one step even further as far as, you can resize the height and width of the start menu as I mentioned earlier, but if you want to go full screen, you can actually turn this on, and that changes it even further to just a full screen. Instead of having a specific height and width, some people might like this. It's actually almost kind of goes back to the way it looked with Windows 8. By default, the start menu was just full screen. You didn't have the option of an actual start menu. So I do not prefer this. I just personally like having the actual menu instead of having the full screen. But it actually does look pretty nice, and some people might prefer it. Just whatever you like. Everybody has their own preferences. And then this one is actually a little bit more related to File Explorer. But it's in the start menu settings. But it is another handy thing. You can show recently opened items in Jump List on Start or the taskbar, and in File Explorer Quick Access. So if you're in Explorer, your Quick Access, it'll show most recent stuff there, or recent stuff that you've opened or used more frequently in that list, which is pretty handy. But it also, if you click on this option here, you can choose what appears in the Start menu as well, over on the left. So, for example, I currently only have Settings, Documents, and Pictures as the options that I've turned on here. So if I go to the back to the Start menu, those are the options that I have right here, with the including Power and my user profile icon there, which those you cannot turn on and off. But going back to that setting, say I wanted to add downloads. So I just, for whatever reason, I'm going into my downloads folder all the time. I just want to get to it faster. I can turn that on, and now I go back to the Start menu, and there's my downloads folder little icon there. So I click that, and it brings me to my downloads. So that's just there's quite a few different things you can customize with the Start menu, and you have the look and the feel. If you want live tiles, if you don't want live tiles, you want large, small icons and tiles. If you want full screen Start menu, there's quite a few things that you can customize, and I think Windows 10 has actually done a pretty good job at this point, and I think they've done a good job at giving customers some pretty useful options and some customizations there. Pretty significant in my opinion, as far as the way you can change it around to how you like it. So but that's about all I had to go over with you as far as the customizing the Start menu, specifically in Windows 10. Obviously other operating system versions of Windows, different options, but Windows 10 is pretty good in my opinion, at least with the Start menu. So that was about all I had to show you today as far as that goes. And I just, of course, I have to mention this video is brought to you by Technology Services of Knoxville, LLC. We serve the East Tennessee area with enterprise-grade technology services and support. If you found this video helpful, please take a moment just to like, share, subscribe to our channel. And if you just so happen to be located in the Knoxville area and have any business technology needs, just give us check us out at tsknoxville.com. Of course, we'd love to hear from you. And thanks for watching, and hope you have a great day.